Hey, hello, and welcome to the Park After Dark. This is episode 7 and the first episode of 2025. And before we jump in, I do want to say a very special thank you from the heart, from myself to you, the viewer, to all of you that over the last 2 to 3 months have been taking the time to subscribe to the channel and watch the content, not just the new stuff, but also the stuff from the previous several months. Uh, it truly is appreciated. Brandon over here on my side, he can attest to how much goes into making these videos and doing prep work and doing editing work and audio work. It really is a lot. And for a guy like Brandon, who produces probably 2 to 3 times the amount of content that I do annually, I'm in awe of what he is able to do. But I did want to start today off with a bit of gratitude and say thank you to all of you. It really does provide motivation to me to try and provide better content for you. And that is, I think that's what it's about, right? Is a little bit of mutual love and respect and gratitude for one another. So, I wanted to express mine for you. So yeah, let's kick it off for 2025. Guys, I am joined today by my good buddy, Theme Park Brandon, and we're going to talk about 2025 so far. I mean, as the year started off the way that we expected it to, maybe if you asked us 12 to 18 months ago, what did you think the beginning of 2025 would look like? Or are we in line at all with what maybe our previous expectations were? Or even if you want to be a little bit more in line, have we even met the expectations after we knew that the merger was coming? And that's kind of where I want to kick it off. Brandon, what do you think? Knowing that the merger was coming, I'm sure that you had adjusted your expectations. But did we begin 2025 on the note that you expected us to?
I mean, everything's so up in the air with the merger, right? So it's hard to pinpoint where should we be, where did I think we would be. It's just it's a lot of wild things happening in the industry and stuff you can't even predict, right? Because no one would predict that we'd be in the situation we're in now with the merger and all these rides closing, and really we're living our coaster life right now, kind of walking on eggshells, wondering which ride's next.
Right.
Yeah, I love it when people say in my videos, "Oh, well, they'll never remove X2 or these other rides, whatever it is." And it's like, look, they removed Kingda Ka, So
Right.
you're sitting there
Yeah.
trying to tell me they're not going to remove these other major rides because they mean so much to the park. They went ahead and already done that to the world's current tallest, fastest coaster. So anything is possible. I'm definitely it's wild.
Yeah. We're in a position right now where, really, there's nothing that's off the table. I don't think that once you had Ka removed in the manner that it was removed, I think that kind of, took all the restrictions off of craziness. And, anything is on the table.
You're right.
And
It's definitely wild. Now, I think the one thing that is definitely not on the table is, this year they're not going to buy any new parks because they have too many.
Yeah,
They'll remove parks or sell off parks or whatever before they purchase any new parks.
Yeah, I definitely definitely agree with that. Just the financials of it in itself, they do not have enough capital on hand after completing the merger and all the cash that was required for that, and they are so debt flush that I don't even think they could go to a New York City loan shark and borrow money at this point. So they're pretty much where they're at until they can reduce their own personal debt ceiling, and that is going to come. It's going to come in relatively short order. By the end of this year, there will be some type of an announcement of parks either that they're having a difficult time brewing interest for. They'll be announced that it'll be for sale, or they will just simply announce a deal that's been done to, to sell a property or cancel leases or do something, but they have to reduce. And
Mhm.
actually, I think that the likelihood of them canceling any of those leases is less now, because I believe that that's still a way for them to generate revenue on paper without having a debt. So it's actually a good opportunity for Six Flags to keep and maintain the relationship with EPR for those properties,
Yeah, I can
strategically
see
short
that.
term.
I
So
mean, yes,
I don't think long term, but short term.
here's my take on it, right? So you have Darien Lake, Frontier City, these parks that they manage, and a lot of some of the water parks, but like they bring in money to a point. They're not very profitable enough to keep them attached to the chain, right? So if they would do that, I could see it going the way of, yes, let's keep these properties, in our portfolio as we manage them. And then maybe they look at buying them out, and acquiring the parks, kind of like they did with Over Georgia just recently and Over Texas in 2 years. So if they would do that, then maybe they would be able to get everything kind of in line so that they can move forward with the parks. Because right now it kind of sucks for like those parks, Darien Lake, Frontier City, etc., where you're kind of stuck. Like you have a great, I think they're great little parks. But if Six Flags wants to keep them in the portfolio for the foreseeable future, then they're not going to uh, invest much into the parks, right? Because they're only here. It's a temporary thing. So
Right.
goodbye to any dreams of new major capital to the parks that they manage. So I don't like it for that. But everything's going to be weird too because you know, hopefully, since COVID, the economy's really been really tough here. Well, let's be
Mhm.
honest,
Yeah.
everyone's facing struggling and hardship. So hopefully, in a couple of years, we can get back to where we were pre-COVID, and then who knows? Maybe these parks companies start spending more money. I don't know. There's so many variables with it. It's actually really interesting to me, and all this stuff kind of comes together. So
Yeah. Previously, I thought that they would make a decision on those quickly, and I thought it would be a top priority. But the more that I've thought about it, I think that like I said, I think their strategic value short term, just
mhm.
as an ability to add to the generated revenue to the overall picture without having to take any debt out or have any debt be attached to it. It's
Yeah,
simply through lease. Are you profitable or are you not? If you're not, then they're going to dump it. If it is, then it makes sense just temporarily to keep it. But to your point, I mean, EPR is they are an investment real estate trust. Essentially, they're a REIT. So
yeah,
their job is to make money for their shareholders, for their investors.
yeah,
So it it's not a rocket scientist required equation to figure out what Six Flags would have to pay for them. It would have to literally be, 2 to 3% above market value, because then the REIT, they can't turn down an equitable offer like that. They would, it would be irresponsible to not
yeah.
sell it. And those people, they have you know a, a a duty,
Correct.
to the investor. So I can see, the obvious choices. Obviously, we know that, Great America is by the wayside. The property's already been sold. um America, I
And
think, is
yeah,
highly likely, just based off some conversations that I have had on what that land is truly, capable to be valued at if it's redeveloped,
man, if you're
with
looking
the
at the aerial
population there.
map, it's all neighborhoods around it. Like it's sad. I hate to see it go, but like with Great Adventure there, King's Dominion now, right? Dorney Park, all the same company. Does it really make sense to keep Six Flags America? The answer is no. I mean,
Right.
as much as I would wish that I hate seeing parks closed, but there's no point of investing, paying the staff the park and the land and all that taxes and everything else when they can make a crap ton of money from selling it when King's Dominion's less than 90 minutes to the south. Great Adventures 2.5 to the northeast. Dorney Park's like an hour and a half, whatever it is, 2 hours away. People in the DC, Baltimore area, besides losing playoff football games, they can have something else to do, right?
Right. Well, I mean, that's hey. I'm not too sure that either of our cities have much room to talk this year.
I know.
We've all choked on our own way, but I mean, that game was prime for the taking for Baltimore. I mean, it shouldn't have even been that close if
No.
That's going to confuse me for a long time.
So, but yeah, so far as 2025, I mean, I'm just waiting. It's a very slow time period for theme parks. This is when like content creators, like for me, like I don't put much, I slow back and work on other projects right now because January is so slow.
Right.
The views are down. People aren't really thinking about theme parks as much. There's not as much theme park news going on. Then February kind of ticks up a little bit because March is right around the corner. You have all the the parks opening up and everything else. But nonetheless, I think I'm very excited for this year. I think it's going to be a solid year for theme parks. If anything was like last year, the parks all seem to be relatively busy. A couple new park presidents in certain spots like Carowinds. I think Carowinds will have a much better overall year. Festivals, new rides opening. Like I'm definitely excited for it. I hope that we can, get some new news coming out soon with other stuff. But it's kind of like January is just a tough month for that.
Well, you did mention news, and I did read a very interesting piece of news.
Yeah.
And it's kind of flown under the radar because it doesn't involve a ride, and it's not a flashy news piece, but I think it means a lot to the industry. Yeah. So, your former park for a period of time, Cedar Point, had made the news. And reported by a few different outlets. But anytime that it's news about Cedar Point, I really love reading the old local Sandusky newspaper there because of their past history and relationship with the park. I find it to be the most accurate journalism that you're ever going to find. So they reported that Cedar Point had removed the bump in pay for all of the COVID employees that chose to stay and remain with the park. And that money was supposed to remain with those employees. And apparently, under a provisional loophole, I'm assuming through the merger, their attorneys have found a way to be able to presumably, in their opinion, get them out of it. Now, my question is, if you are an employee, are you not speaking to a employment attorney regarding having, darn near 20%, in some cases 25% of your pay taken away? It's an interesting question, and I think it's a really bad PR look for the park. Now, obviously, they don't have to offer it to new employees, but how many employees were they really doing that for? That they couldn't have just grandfathered those people in for their loyalty.
Being in charge of a major corporation and business is a very tough thing to do, right? Because you have to look at all aspects of it. And while we get on this side of it, it looks like really bad. And like, why the F would they do that, right? But on the spreadsheet paper side, trying to stay afloat, it might make them. It might be the only way for them to really bring in, stay as profitable as what they need to be to be successful. That whole $20 thing, I might get some hate for this, but that was ridiculous. I'm sorry. Like your 2019 pay was $10 an hour, right? Whatever it was, or $11. Then it doubled to $20 an hour, which is absurd. And even at Carowinds, it went from $8 or $9 an hour to 15, 16, 17. And I'm not saying that they're not worth that money. What I'm saying is that jump, that spike of 1 year was just insane to me. No business can stay afloat doing that when they keep their pricing the same as far as season passes, tickets, etc. You have to running a business, you have money coming in, you're spending money on things, but the end game is to have the same amount of money or try to make more from it. Well, you can't do that when you have all this money coming, you're spending more money on employees than you're not raising the rates of the tickets. And remember, too, 2020 they postponed all the season passes, so everyone who bought a 2020 pass got 2021 for free. So
I don't necessarily disagree with anything that you said, but my retort to that, just from and this is just the way that I view it. How many years has Cedar Point been in business?
100.
How qualified are they and their attorneys to be able to speak about employment and obligation and contract?
Yeah.
If you're going to offer something and you believe that there is any way, and for any reason, that you're going to have to void that contract, then you should probably have written a provision in that states that, this is going to be reexamined on an annual basis. I mean, literally, there are a million ways that
Correct.
a $3 attorney in a cheap suit would have been able to write into this to be able to prevent this from ever becoming a news story and them to face any backlash. So that would be my retort, is if they felt at the time that it was so necessary to make such an irresponsible commitment to their employees, then they should honor it. And
I agree with you on that. I think they should honor the ones, the loyal ones, because I know a few of them who've been there for a long time, or try to maybe work it out so you're not taking as much. You maybe give them other options of, benefits or something. I don't know, but
if the employees were willing to stay to help the business remain open in the first place, I'm more than willing to bet that they would be willing to negotiate something to either buy that out, end it, accept something else as a provision. But I mean, to just kind of rug pull people like that, I just think that it's a bad look. You shouldn't enter deals that you're not prepared to execute. It's that you are only as good as your word. And if you become known as an employer that likes to, go back on their word and go back on employment contracts, you're talking about a business brand and it's asking kids to come from overseas.
Yep. And all around the world and work 12 hours, 14 hours a day, whatever it is.
Well, what happens if you're one of those kids that's from overseas, you're on a work visa, and they do something to screw with your employment when you're standing there with your bag?
Exactly.
What type of look is this for the company? Is this going to end up affecting their ability to bring people in on contract? Because, I mean, they just broke one. So that's my only point is I don't know why it's not being talked about more, because I don't know. Typically, when people break contracts, it's a news cycle.
What I think the parks need to do, I might be getting off topic here, we'll see, but I think the parks should look at ways to minimize staffing as much as they can, because with the paying the employees $15, $20, whatever it is, right, an hour, you're talking when a theme park is open, let's say Carowinds. I mean, there's probably on any given day 500 people, if not more, working that day with all the departments. When you add up 500 and you times that by the amount of hours, that's a ton of money. I think that theme parks have to become smarter with what's it called, automation of how they run their business. Whether it's like where can they cut corners at? Not cut corners, but rely on technology to replace a physical person. Food service is one. Obviously, like you go and touch what you want, and the food comes up. I think we went to Taco Bell last night and the KFC around our house, and we did the touch screen, and I just touched what I wanted. The person came up. I hate it personally because I'm a very personal person. I want to, hey, how are you doing today? This is what I want. Have a good day. But it works in this day and age. It works. If every restaurant and theme parks that they're not full service, the quick service will do that, then
even the ordering online through your phone on the app, they're now doing that in the parks, obviously, as well.
Exactly.
Anything that they can do, like you said, to be able to streamline the process, to save a couple dollars, and it might even be in, you know, maintenance and cleanup. There's all, if you shave just a piece
A
of
piece.
every department,
It
it can
might
help
be
make a
something.
difference.
It might be something like, you know, like stuff you don't even see. Marketing or I honestly being in the theme parks. I've never been corporate level, but like I know for a fact that there's a lot of people that have jobs that they could do multiple jobs and eliminate certain positions to and I know they've
No
already
question.
Six Flags did that back with Salim a couple of years ago, right?
Hmm.
I mean, there was parks out there running on like very, very. I mean, you would be. I can't say the number, but you would be crapping your pants knowing how many full time salaried employees, management and up, was running the park. It was like, what? How is that even possible? That's nothing. Because I remember when I worked at SeaWorld before they had all the layoffs and stuff back in 2010, like there was like so many different area managers and area leads. Like, oh my god, it was now these people just walk around buddy buddy all the time. Like they're not getting any work done.
Right.
So I think that there's ways to figure out a good system that works and still provides a good product, right? But you're also going to have some money.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. There's definitely a way to try and keep everybody happy and still provide a good guest experience.
mhm.
And I think there is something to be said that, let's say you do have a few, not a lot, but a few less employees, but the employees are all well compensated. How much extra effort are you going to get from a well compensated, happy employee to provide that guest experience? Are
It's
you
all
going
based
to?
on I think it's all based on morale and department because usually food service is one of the worst departments. No matter what park you go to, the food service employees are just kind of hit very. They're not the best. I'm sorry. I hate saying it, but it's just that's what I've witnessed. And when you're stuck inside all day long serving food, I get it, right? It's not the
It
most
can be rough.
appealing job. It is rough. That's why they give you automate that more. Like I think it's morale because then you go to different parks and operations wise, they all seem horrible too. It's like, what the hell? But then you go to certain park like Carowinds, my own park, most of their operators are like really legit good. And I think it's morale. I think it's people that they know that they care about them. Um, and the structure they have, some of them are full time employees, that are hourly employees. So, in the end of the day, I think it comes down to making sure people are happy and making sure that the parks are actually going out there and doing the right thing for the employees. Kings Island, hands down, best operating team out there. I mean, it's crazy. It was great when I worked there 20 years ago, 21 years ago now, and it's great now. Uh, it, it also, people are getting lazy now, bro. You know that this younger
Yeah.
generation, man, they don't. I'm not trying. Some of them do, some of them don't. But man, like a lot of them, they just have this attitude of it's like if you only knew how lucky you are right now to be your age, right? And like, oh,
Right.
it's just be happy. I was never the best employee ever back then, but I was still a decent worker enough to like smile and talk to people and
You know,
whatever.
I, I think that boils down to, whether you think you were a great worker or not, I think is almost irrelevant
Yeah.
because if you took pride in your work, then your
Yep.
work was worth it. And that's what it boils down to is I can like, even as a manager in any job, I
Mhm.
would rather have the guy that's passionate about trying
Yep.
and comes up a little short than the guy who doesn't
Mhm.
put in any effort because they're naturally gifted
Mhm.
and they don't give a shit about what they're doing.
Yep.
Uh, Give me the try hard every day because I know that if we have to go the extra mile as a team, that
Mhm.
person is going to they're going to be there. And So yeah, if you take pride in what you do, like a lot of the ride operators, as you said at Kings Island, like they
Yeah,
do.
they do.
Um, Kennywood at my home park, we have ride operators that have been there for years upon years,
Mhm.
and they are phenomenal at what they do because they're passionate about it.
And that's the thing
And
too, is the passion. Like you can tell
right,
when someone's there just to be there for a job, right? And that's why, like, I made a video a long time ago, like, y'all have the best job ever. Like, I love working in theme parks, and I honestly, I would do it if I didn't have two kids still. Like, I thought about working at Carowinds, and it's just you have the passion, and there's certain people that have it, certain people that don't. And it's okay to work in a theme park and not be crazy passionate and dorks like we are. That's
right,
fine. But I always had, when I was always a supervisor, I'd always tell my team, look, y'all are getting paid, right? To make other people happy, to
yep,
create these memories for people. There's not many jobs out there that are as good or as rewarding spiritually, emotionally than that. And that
yeah,
is what I always took, like helping people out in my jobs, or whether it's small little things of trying to make someone's day, to make it, whatever it is, I would do anything I could to make someone happy and have a better experience, because I know they have a better experience. They're going to talk good about the park's going to, word of mouth is everything, so in the end of it, it is what it is.
yeah. That's true. Word of mouth is everything, and you want to go. I'm going to cliche the hell out of us here and really date both of us, but
Yeah.
it's like Cheers. You want to go where everybody knows your name.
Mhm.
Where you want to go where you feel comfortable, where you feel like
Yep.
your family, where you feel like you're welcome. And the people that have the great operating teams, they have that magic down. They understand how to create that particular formula to make you not only feel their urgency to provide
Yeah.
you an expeditiously fun day, but
Mhm.
also their passion to make you have a really good one.
Yep.
And
You're
that
you're
is
right.
what sets the parks apart. So uh, yeah, I just, it was disheartening news on the Cedar Point front. I would have liked to have seen them done better by the employees. I'm sure that there will be attorneys that'll be involved to be able to work that out so that it's amicable for everybody.
I'm
But
sure. Yeah, I see it. I see both sides of it. The way I look at life is a lot different than most, I guess, maybe potentially. But I always try to look at both sides of everything. Whether it's like, why does this person have this opinion about this? Why is this person getting screwed over at work? Why does my father not like my mother? Right? Like certain, like there's always both sides of everything. So I kind of put myself in the middle of and just seeing it both avenues. But yeah, it is a crappy situation overall.
yeah, to get to a little bit happier news, as more and more information starts to come out and roll out about Epic Universe and its grand opening. Uh, I know everybody is getting excited because, I mean, how could you not? With all the amazing rides and the different food that's going to be available there, the theming no doubt will be exceptional and next level, probably to the
Mhm.
likes we've not seen before, and all of that is exciting.
Yep.
But the other piece of news was what the House of Mouse decided to do to try and steal a little bit of that spring and summer thunder by offering such incredible deals for guests to come, for a stay not just to go to the parks, but at their resorts and getting massive discounts to do multi-day stays at Disney. Uh, I don't know about you, but to me, that just reeks of desperation.
Yeah.
Is there any other way to view that?
I mean, I've always said that the Epic is the Disney killer. And what I mean by that is, like, I don't think Disney or any of us understand how big this park's going to be until we see it with our own eyes. And just the full blown IP aspect, because How to Train Your Dragon's massive. That alone would bring thousands of people there every day, right? Harry Potter, of course, is going to bring in crap ton of people. Nintendo World. Then don't sleep on the Dark Universe. You know that
That
people are.
that
Oh,
is my most
I
anticipated place.
know. Like it's
I
like
cannot wait for that.
people are going to go crazy over this stuff, and
I don't know about you as a side note, but as a kid, I used to cheese out in the school library looking at all the books and magazines of the old horror movie creatures. And
yeah,
I mean, it's part of my childhood looking at all that stuff, but all that was stuff that we didn't get to watch per se. We were familiarized with it just due to our
yeah,
age. Sorry, go
yeah.
ahead.
I really, it's gonna blow everyone out of the water, and I feel like Disney needed to do something because they did not, in my opinion, they did not time up their new attractions well with this. If I was Disney, I would have opened up a new ride to coincide with Epic, a major e-ticket ride. Um, because I'm not a huge Disney like fan. I never loved Disney, but I'm just trying to like think. They don't have anything like Big Thunder Mountain's down all year for their refurb on it. And I think Disney's another problem with Disney is they take so long to build a ride.
Right.
Tron took forever. This rehab and refurb on Big Thunder Mountains will take so many months.
By the time that they end up putting out this Vekoma STC that they're or family STC that they're building for the Pixar, uh, I, I mean, they're probably going to have a newer model of it from Vekoma. It's good. They're going to be on a new generation of Restraint and Train by that time.
Yep.
It's
So I know obviously Disney will always be Disney, and Disney will most likely always get more people to the parks and everything else. And I completely get that. But I think that Universal, the last 10, 15, even 20 years, at least the last 10 for sure, has really been way above Disney as far as quality, the food, the experience, the immersive attractions. I mean, Hagrid's, Velocicoaster, those are top notch. Then you have all the stuff at Epic. And then I was talking to someone who works at the park, and they said they still have a ton of room at Epic for a fourth park, like dry park. Like it will be a smaller park, but there is room. And they have a giant parking lot. They can always convert that into a parking garage.
And don't forget, they're going to circle back, and they are going to go back into, Universal Studios. They're going to go back into Islands of Adventure. They're going to improve those parks markedly in the next 10 years. And Disney they have fallen so far behind as you just pointed out, at the speed that they are able to build new attractions, they're going to be lapped.
Just imagine if Disney had the same motivation as far as the timetable of opening up rides as Universal did. I mean, they could, in my opinion, Disney makes enough money that there's no reason why they do not open up one major attraction per dry park every year.
Agreed.
That means every park we get every 4 years a new major attraction. Hell, you could probably even do two. Two new.
You could easily do two, but to say at least one, I think that is such a small percentage of the revenue that is generated. I mean, you are talking pennies on the dollar.
And then the water parks.
Neglect.
Blizzard Beach hasn't had a new attraction since it opened. Now,
the
it's
last,
a great water park. And
the last time that we were in Orlando, I had a lot of people that were on the bus with us that had said that it was awful, that they hated. Yep. And they were, I would say probably mid-20s. And they said that they preferred going to the Universal Water Park.
Volcano Bay.
Volcano Bay. They preferred that a lot more. And so, I mean,
And who knows? Maybe Universal buys more land, right? Like the Universal's not going to slow down.
No,
I'm
no,
not really
they're
worried about SeaWorld. SeaWorld's more of a local park, anyways. Like you get a lot of tourists, but a lot of locals go to SeaWorld. It's for the
SeaWorld
lower.
is more of a partner.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about the future of SeaWorld. I'm not worried about the future of Disney, but Disney, I think, has a chance at potentially, hopefully, adding more new rides over the future. Hold on, I gotta check. There's supposed to be snowing out here. It's snow flurrying. Sorry, but we're just south of Charlotte, so it doesn't really snow too often here.
Yeah, we have had quite a bit of that. Still have several inches on the ground. Got to do some driving up some exceptionally steep hills, and that's fun. That's fun. When
Yep.
you have about 6 or 7 inches of snow on the ground, and you're borderline 45-degree vertical, it's a humbling experience. You start to grip the steering wheel a little bit tighter. Maybe a few extra prayers come out of the mouth. Maybe an
Yeah.
expletive or two.
I
Yeah,
love it.
very confusing moments when you're gripping the wheel in an icy situation.
That's true.
But yeah, this year has been crazy so far. Who knows how much more interesting it's going to be? But I do know that as per our last conversation, I did book my trip to go to. I'm flying into Los Angeles,
Yeah,
actually.
you messaged me, hey, if you ever want to go on a trip, let me know. Then all of a sudden you just book it out of nowhere.
Well, so you didn't expect to book that trip. I got an email in before I had left my corporate job 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah.
I had done a lot of flying to and from the New England area for work
Okay.
from Pittsburgh. And I had a whole bunch of leftover points that I thought that I had used, and they had an expiration date set to them. And I got this email out of nowhere that said that your points are going to expire in 3 days. And I was like, what points? So I go and I log in, and I had enough points for round trip airfare to go fly to and from Pittsburgh to Los Angeles. And I had to find the right week. It was like the credit was just big enough to make the trip, but I couldn't do it on a weekend because it was too much money. One of those types of deals. So I had to do like a Tuesday to Tuesday. But I believe it's like the very beginning of May. So that should be a fun trip. I'm going to make sure that I stop and hit Magic Mountain so that I can try to get my X2 credit. That's the only one that I'm missing. I have to stop at Knott's Berry Farm to get Ghost Rider because that was closed when I was there. And then it's going to be heading north up to Santa Clara and California's Great America and hitting Six Flags Discovery Kingdom before headed back to the Berg and trying to clear out that whole Northern California area. Yeah, that is the game plan for me for the early portion of the year. Do you have anything travel-wise on your agenda for this first quarter?
Dollywood opening day, and then Carowinds King's Dominion opening day. That's probably about it. Maybe over Georgia's opening day, and then come May, Cedar Point, maybe Kings Island's opening day, and then Epic is 22nd of May. So we're busy.
Please be sure to let me know in advance whenever you're going to be up north doing Kings Island. And
I'm going to Kennywood and not tell your butt.
Yeah, that would be tragic. That would be tragic. What a phenomenal year those guys are set to have. For the first time in the history of the two parks, Kennywood is set to have a longer operating season than Kings Island. Let that set in. So,
really?
Yes, sir. Kings Island reduced and Kennywood added. So I have to give, and I'm going to say this publicly in case people didn't read it on X, man, I was very skeptical about the hiring of Ricky Spicuzza, a local guy, to be the general manager of Kennywood. I had the impression that he would act as a shill for Parques Reunidos to be able to advance his career and to be able to parlay it into a different park position or possibly with corporate. But boy, was I wrong. He has turned out to be the best general manager that Kennywood has had in the last 20 to 25 years since the family owned the park. And that is offering high praise for him as an individual and as a leader. His plan for the park has been phenomenal. It has been clean, clean, clean. Make sure that everything is pristine again and make sure that all of the rides operate, that they operate as they were intended to operate, that the racer races every single
Yeah, but
time.
you gotta get Steel Curtain up. It's a
Oh,
make or break
well,
year for Steel Curtain. I know they're saying it's gonna be open, but
that that is the that is the final test. I mean, if Steel Curtain is operating on opening day, he will have delivered pretty much on every promise that that he had made coming into the park. But everything else so far, operationally, hours wise, he extended hours last year. The
yeah.
season is longer this season. I mean,
I'm looking at the calendar now. I mean, yeah, I like having the Thursday to the 2 Thursdays in October open for Haunt or their Halloween event.
yeah, and the opening this year on April 12th to do an Easter event for the first time in park history.
When was their normal opening day?
I mean, at the earliest, it would have like typically on a calendar like this, at the earliest, it would have been 420 on a typical year like this. So, to add a week when most parks are taking a week away, that's a big win for us locally. And it's a little bit of a feel good situation too, because like you said, if they can open the curtain, then you're going to have extended hours, extended days to enjoy one of your favorite rides. And for everybody here in Pittsburgh, that will be a huge win if it does come to fruition. And I feel good about it. I haven't heard anything negative yet, which is good. Which is good because typically, if there's something horrifically bad, somebody will say something. So, so far so good. Thomastown going away though. That is another big Kennywood story from early this year.
Yeah, but they're gonna at least keep some of the kiddie rides and put a little theme over it. So, but
yeah,
I know Carowinds, their hours are gonna get reduced as well. So I would imagine Kings Island and the other parks too. It's unfortunate. I hate it, but
Kings Island was announced today. They're opening on 4/19, I believe.
Who is?
And they don't. Kings Island is 4/19, and first day of daily ops this year for Kings Island, May 14th. Kennywood daily ops begin at the end of May. I want to say it's more like the 26th or 27th.
Yeah, it is the 23rd, Friday the 23rd. It's open daily all the way through August 18th.
Yeah, so it's going to be about a week and a half shorter daily off season than Kings Island this year, which typically it's about 3 weeks less than Kings Island. So I'm pretty happy that they're more similar in that regard. But again, Kennywood is gaining that extra week for that Easter event, which I'm sure they're going to do something pretty cool. There are a lot of great Easter egg hiding spots there for kids. I'm sure they will make it a fun event for families, and that's the wave of the future. You got to get families in the park.
Okay, yeah. So Kings Island opens up on the 19th of April.
Yeah,
they do. Yeah, the 14th they go daily ops, 10 a.m. to 10 on the weekends. June 10th. Well, Kings Island's not getting affected. Carowinds, I know, is getting affected apparently. Kings Island is not, which is good. Kings Island's packed. So they need that 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. Man, that's why I hate Carowinds. That Kings Island's water park's open from 11 to 7. This past year, Carowinds water park was open 12 to 6.
Oh, wow.
or 11 to 5, or maybe 11 to 6 at some, like, it was ridiculous. And hell, Carowinds hasn't even announced their schedule yet. So
Yeah, I think that, within the next week, most of
they
the
should.
most
You
of the
think
Six
they do?
Flags parks will have theirs out.
Hopefully.
Yeah,
Let's see what
so,
Carowinds has.
um
Park info, calendar hours. Give me my opening day. I just think it's so stupid for them not to announce it. So you would think they'd announce it already for people planning trips and all.
right.
I don't get it. So, all right, I have like 10 more minutes left. What do you got for me?
Yeah, well, I think the best way to wrap up, is, give you a dealer's choice. Tell us what you got going on, over the next, handful of weeks, next month. What kind of videos do you have coming out? What type of stories is B scooping? What do you got for us?
I mean, it's just a matter of trying to see what works, what doesn't work, you know? So right now, January, as I said early in the podcast, January is always that month of it's slow. I've learned from a content perspective, your ad revenue is like half as much as it was, a little less, a little more than half, but not, it's a huge dip in revenue per view, per video, etc. in January, because all the businesses spend a lot of their ad revenue in December for the holidays. Then come January, it like falls off a cliff. So I kind of do my best to just kind of stay afloat. Um, so I'm working a lot right now on my other channel, Travel Guides USA, getting some really cool projects there to help out people planning trips to Orlando, Myrtle Beach, Cocoa Beach, Branson, Missouri. A lot of them are theme park oriented as well.
Yeah.
I'm in the process of working on my Universal Orlando ultimate guides to Islands of Adventure and studios. And then once Epic opens up, do Epics, and just trying to, whatever. For me, I'm doing a lot of more videos of me on camera, getting my raw reaction to something and trying to make it so it's not just filled with B-roll and everything else, because not that that's bad, it's great, but for me and what I need to do for my business model, I'll still have a lot of those videos out, but a lot of them will just be me like uncut. There's no cuts. It's like, oh, this is me from 0000 to 13 minutes, right? Just me talking and showing a few stuff on the screen, of course, but
Right.
a lot of breaking news or this or that and everything else. So I have a video I'm going to speculate on Hershey Park's new coaster. I'm very excited about that project. And I have a couple other ones. One of them I'm working on. I just had the idea today of like Universal's just killing it with Hagrid's and Velocicoaster. And then they have, How to Train Your Dragon, Hiccups, Wing Gliders. Like, the Intamin's just taken over Florida, really, as far as Universal goes. And so I don't know where the video will go with that, but like piecing that together. So I have a lot of different stuff I work, but again, January is more or less my month to kind of usually sit back, relax. But now I'm putting a lot more time into my travel channel for this month and probably February, due to people starting to plan trips right now, and everything else. But I have a lot of cool things I'm working on, and once I go to the parks, do my opening day vlogs and all that stuff. So we'll see.
Yeah, that should be great. That should be. You had mentioned, the doing a different format, the unedited, format. I think that is kind of the new shortwave. That's kind of like the next thing. That is
Well,
people
you know,
want that aspect.
you have to stand out, right? And so my travel guides blew up last year. My other channel, like view wise, subscriber, I had more subscribers on that channel than I did theme park. Like it was crazy. I put out maybe an average of 2.5 videos per month. So I have to look at it as, okay, how can I stand out and I can't, my family relies on my income. So I can't spend 10, 12 hours on a theme park video where it's only going to bring me $100, $50, $75. I can't, when you break that down per hour, that's nothing.
Right.
So I had to make sure that two things. One, I have to look at what type of videos are going to be really good for me revenue wise and view wise. Then also look at what my viewers are going to enjoy. Then kind of mold something in the middle so that my viewers say, hey, you know what? I really like this channel back when it was Theme Park Predictions and all these other stupid names this dumb a-hole guy has, right? And now it's Theme Park Brandon. I'm done. So it's just a matter of trying to figure out what I can do to keep my viewers entertained. And I think a lot of that is trying new things. And out of all the major theme park creators, the only person that I know gets on camera a decent amount would be like Coaster Studios. They do from time to time, and a few other ones. But that's the first one that comes to my mind. So I watch a lot of stuff on YouTube of just the person like just sitting there talking on camera, and it's like if you're interested enough with what you're talking about, you're going to retain the viewership most of the time. So it's just a matter of trying to do something different and everything else. So in the end, it's all trial and error and trying to figure it out. But I know that the travel stuff will be. I'll spend more time on my travel. I'll still put out videos on theme park every 3 to 4 days, but the travel channel will be heavily focused on the first quarter of this year, and then come summertime in the fall, I will focus more on theme park because my views in the travel drop after September because people stop planning trips very much for the summertime. So the views just drops. So I'm an analytic freak. I love looking at all the details of all this stuff and doing some research and studying about it. So it's fun for me to kind of see what the trends are. But it's definitely, I'm just blessed to have 2 channels, 2 followings, somewhat similar content, but some different for different people. So my number one passion is helping people. So I get that through my theme park guides and recommendations, and then the travel stuff. So it makes me happy.
Yeah, that's great. I have been this last 3 or 4 days, I've been working on my 5 budget family trips for 2025, and trying to, as you were just alluding to, trying to draw in a little bit different of an audience to the channel based on the budget travel aspect of it, but at the same time, still be able to incorporate roller coasters that the people that are subscribers to the channel and expect to see roller coaster content aren't going to watch it and say, why, what did this have to do with roller? It'll be evidence why it has to do with roller coasters. It just kind of happens to fit both molds. But
and us as creators too, the average person's not a creator, and that's fine. If you want to be a creator, I highly encourage you doing it. But the average person, they don't see it as like we see it. We have to stay relevant, because there's another channel, another person out there that's going to be creating content that might take viewers away from you and myself, So we have to make sure that we are changing and evolving into something that these people will still want to watch you, and make you stand out from others.
Right. And, I think that is one of the biggest reasons for me wanting to do this platform in some capacity year round, even if it's 1 episode a week, and to get multiple voices in, is that you can gain so much by working with one another, not just tips and tricks that that I will gain from you, but even the 30 people last week that happened to get introduced to your stuff, and perhaps they just happen to be Kennywood fans and had never searched roller coaster content before, and they stumble across good old Brandon, and boom, next thing they know, they're 310 videos deep down a rabbit hole they never expected to be down. You know what I'm saying, brother? That's how it works. That's how it works. So, hey, I appreciate you taking time with me, man. Always fun to sit down and talk, especially about recent news. And I think we're going to have happier conversations coming very soon. Especially, you had mentioned that video you're working on Hershey Park. And yeah, I'm very curious.
Hopefully, some teasing.
I'm very curious to see what your thoughts are.
Stay tuned. Probably
very
today or
curious
tomorrow or the next day. So we'll see. But thanks for having me, man. Hope you're doing well, you and your family.
Absolutely.
I wish everyone the best.
Absolutely, guys. Thank you so much for hanging in with us. I know that Brandon and I both appreciate you very much, very much. And if you're not subscribed to Brandon's channel, please do that right now. It is Theme Park Brandon. And don't forget to keep an eye out for those videos. And also check out his travel channel as well. Brandon, what is that travel channel if people want to subscribe to that too?
Travel Guides USA.
Guides USA. So you gained one extra subscriber in me. I'm about to go and do that. Hopefully he gains some extra from you as well. And guys, until next time, we'll see you out there.